So, what's better, a paper journal or an electronic journal? That is a good question, and that is what we're going to explore today. You would think, with the ability to carry a small supercomputer around in our pockets, and the fact that we have access, most of us, to a computer in our lives, that keeping an electronic journal would be the simplest and easiest way to go. But is it really the best way to record our thoughts and our ideas and the things that are going on in our life? Here are 4 reasons that I believe that the pen is mightier than the keyboard. Number 1, you don't need any special app or equipment to actually keep a paper journal. All you need is a pen and a notebook of some kind to keep it in. It doesn't even have to be fancy, but it can be. Basically, you just need something that you can write on, so there's no special equipment that we actually need. Number 2, the tactile nature of putting pen to paper is actually really good for us as human beings. Writing on paper has actually been associated with stronger neural encoding and memory recall later on down the line. Writing on paper makes it a lot more easy for us to be creative and to think creatively. We can add emphasis really easy to something that we think is important, or we can underline something or circle things. We can even make little doodles or diagrams that is not so easy to do on the computer without switching from one app to another app. Writing with pen and paper also triggers a different part of our brain. In fact, more of our brain is active when we're writing with a pen and paper than when we're typing with a keyboard. And because of that, there are processes and synapses that are firing in our brain that actually enhance what we're doing more than just typing on a computer. Number 3, people who are going to be reading what you've written in the future are going to learn so much more about who you were from what you've written than what you would see on a typed page. For instance, I have this photo journal that my dad made when he came to Canada for the very first time in 1955. And even though there are just little snippets of writing in it, we learn so much more about who he was at the time than if it had been typed up. And in addition, we have these little doodles and drawings and things here that help us to understand a little bit about the person who is actually writing this journal. Number 4, lastly, and most importantly, our digital assets can so easily become lost, corrupted, or even obsolete that people in the future may not have a record of those kind of things. If you remember when Steve Jobs died, there were people who wanted to write his biography, find out more about the man who had created Apple computers. And one of the things they did is they went looking for his diaries, especially around the time where he invented the Mac and he was thinking and coming up with some of the ideas that formed the foundation of Apple. And as they were researching, they found all these files, but they couldn't open them. Why? Because they didn't have the equipment to get in and read what he'd written there. So even if they wanted to, it was impossible to find those out. For myself, I have no record of notes from 2 iPhones ago that I've made digitally, whereas I have a diary that I wrote in 1986 while I was on a trip down to South America. I've actually seen pages from the journal of Leonardo da Vinci. I have been able to read the thoughts and the feelings and the insights that Marcus Aurelius, an emperor 2,000 years ago, wrote down for us to look at. If we're creating something that we want to last longer than 2 or 3 years, that we want to come back and reflect on and review and even maybe pass on to the next generation, then pen and paper, in my opinion, is going to be the best way to go still. And if you want more tips on journaling, check this video out over here.